from some of your classmates or to your younger brothers and sisters about some of the other sessions, and I'm really excited this is the first Persuasive Writing Made Easy that I'm going to be presenting to your school. So you get the very unique presentation. I'm really excited to hear about your projects, and I would love to maybe hear a few people's projects, what they are. But first I want to quickly introduce myself. My name is Doris Svitak, and the reason I'm speaking here about writing, and I'm 14 years old and coming all the way from Seattle over video conferencing, is due to my love of writing. I published my first book, Flying Fingers, when I was 7, and then my second book, Dancing Fingers, I co-authored with my sister Adriana, who's turning 16 today, and I wrote this with her. So I really love writing of all kinds, but one thing you might notice is that both of these are, well, one is short stories and one is poetry. So the first one's technically fiction, and I also really love to do nonfiction writing, persuasive, expository. I do a lot of blog posts and other things. So I highly encourage you, if you're scared of writing persuasively or if the word essay just really frightens you, that it's really not all that bad. And as you grow older, you're going to be using essays and nonfiction writing, persuasive writing a lot more in your everyday life. But in fact, we actually do use persuasive writing a lot in our everyday life, and I'll be going over some of those ways. But first I want to ask, what is persuasive writing? Anyone want to give a definition? What is persuasive writing?
Jackie?
Persuasive writing is when you're writing to persuade your students.
Very good. Yeah, writing is where you're writing to persuade. It could be your other students, as in what you're working on. It could be the entire country. Like there's the big elections starting to heat up now. So what are you trying to do in persuasive writing? That's answered pretty clearly by what it is. You're trying to persuade. More specifically, in persuasive writing, a writer takes a position for or against an issue and tries to convince the reader to believe or do something. So I believe that the city park should be pet-friendly versus no, the city park should not be pet-friendly. But how many of you have ever argued, if you have siblings, how many of you have ever argued with a sibling? Raise your hand. Okay, looks like pretty much everybody who has a sibling has. I would be very surprised if there are any perfect little youngsters out there. Well, if you've ever argued with a sibling, you know that it can be really difficult to win an argument just by saying, no, I didn't, yes, you did, no, I didn't. That's really difficult, isn't it? Because you're just going back and forth and saying yes, no, yes, and it doesn't work out so well. So in persuasive writing, you want to be a little different. You want to strategize, you want to support your arguments with details. So instead of, no, you didn't, I did, or I didn't, you did, it would become, I know that you stole the cookies from the cupboard because your greasy fingerprints are all over the cookie jar. You were working with oil, so there's grease now all over it. Plus, you always have a habit of taking 2 cookies, whereas I only take 1, and suspiciously, 2 cookies were taken out of the cookie jar. And that's what you call backing up your argument with evidence. So, where do you see some examples of persuasive writing in everyday life? Where do you see persuasive writing in everyday life?
Teresa?
Well, you see it in books where 2 characters are having an argument.
Definitely, you might see it in 2 books where 2 characters are having an argument. Great. A very creative way to think of it. Where are some other places we see persuasive writing?
Magazines?
Magazines, definitely. So, actually, it's great you mentioned that because I was looking through Newsweek magazine looking for some advertisements, and so I found this Duracell battery advertisement. I found this advertisement for tourism to Thailand, and I found an advertisement for this new HP inkjet printer. And it's a little difficult to see, so I put them up on here. Oh, let's see. Here's the Duracell one. Let me zoom in a bit. So basically it says, today's smart lights aren't big and heavy, just brighter. And over here it says, Duracell daylight flashlights. 20 times brighter, pure white LED light. Efficiency engineered for 5 times battery life. Designed for AA or AAA batteries. Patented true beam optics. Smart power illuminated. Duracell Smart Power. So when you look at this advertisement, you realize that the strategies they're using aren't all that different. They're trying to deliver you this message that this light is something, or that this daylight flashlight is something you should buy, and it's giving these details or these reasons to back their argument up. So you can think about making your persuasive argument basically have those same things. You have some main point you're trying to get across, and you have the reasons that you need to back it up. So next time you're looking at advertisements, if you just have a desire to look at advertisements, you can tell your parents, hey, I'm studying this persuasive writing, which is pretty true. What about if you ever tried to get your parents to let you stay up later? Maybe you said something like, you should let me stay up later because I'm older now, I don't need as much sleep, I'll be happier and less grumpy about going to sleep, and if I go to sleep now, I'll just read anyway. And all my friends' parents let them go to bed way later than me. So you see that same thing happening, where you have this main point that you're trying to get across, you should let me stay up later, and then all these supporting details that help support that main point. So let's look at, here's another example where you should elect me as City Parks Commissioner because I am for pet-friendly parks, I'm tough on littering, and I love the great outdoors. And finally, here's this ad for Thailand, or tourism to Thailand, and what is the purpose of this advertisement, you might ask, and that's to attract people to visit Thailand to bring money, obviously as tourists. So analyzing the purpose of a persuasive argument allows you to find its main point, which is you should visit Thailand. And that has all these details about how beautiful Thailand is. So it says that, let me read down here, it's a little hard on the board. It says, set your sights on Thailand. It is at the crossroads of trading and business in emerging Asia, a creative economy that grows from strength to strength with bright prospects, stunning attractions, and dynamic experiences. Thailand, now shining before your eyes. So obviously using this really big, compelling image helps a lot. And you might ask, well, how do I do that in writing? These advertisements have the benefit of these big images and flashy logos. You can't do that in writing. Well, the thing is that you actually can. In your persuasive writing, you want to make sure that you're not just listing off facts. You're not just saying, Thailand is pretty awesome, and here are some reasons why. Because there's a lot of trade going on. Because there's this and this. In this one, they really create an image. They use language that is very beautiful. So in your persuasive argument, even though you're going to be dealing with a lot of facts and a lot of science, you want to make sure that it's still something people are really going to want to read. So looking at advertisements and thinking of other persuasive arguments that you might have made can really help. Who here asked their parent for something? Maybe it was a gift this time of the season, or maybe really wanted something, maybe a new video game. Raise your hand if you've ever done that. Ask your parents, beg your parents for something. I'm seeing a lot of raised hands. Okay, keep those hands up. What kind of persuasive argument do you use? How do you try to get your parents to give you that?
Somebody? Yes.
Well, I started my grandma started like saving things before, staying up later. I sort of said, I'm older now. My friends stay up way later. I pretty much the same thing.
Okay, so for the staying up way later, all my friends stay up way later, using that kind of bandwagon appeal, that's when you're saying, well, everybody else is doing it, and trying to convince people that way. What are some other persuasive arguments that you made? Maybe it was for a product, maybe it was to do something like stay up later. What are some other persuasive arguments?
Well, there was a video game I really wanted, and so we went to go get it, and my dad said it was for Christmas, and I wanted it earlier, and so I just said, how about Dad make a deal, and I'll do this and this, and I can get the game, and then play it a bit, and then it'll count as an early Christmas present.
Okay, so you were again laying out the reasons. Hey, if you let me play this early, then I will do all these things for you, and you won't have to give me another present because it'll be like an early Christmas present. Yeah, definitely. That is an example of persuasive argument. So you guys, what are some more? Let's get one more.
Jessica.
Well, last year I really wanted a cell phone because all my friends had cell phones, and I was spending a lot more time in places further away from where my parents are. So I figured that if I had a cell phone, I'd be able to contact my friends and
I didn't quite hear that. Like I heard the very beginning.
Yeah. Okay, so it had to do with the cell phone. She asked the parents for a cell phone because everyone else had one, and because she was starting to become further and further away from her parents. And right, Jasmine? Okay.
Great, so yeah, this big cell phone argument. Okay, by the way, if you feel bad about not having a cell phone, everyone else does. I'm a 14-year-old girl who doesn't have a cell phone. Yeah, well, and I walk home from school as well, so you could say the danger is ever present. Oh well, but yeah, definitely, these are great ways to convince. I know I could be kidnapped at the moment. No, my parents are
You're
not.
being persuasive now, aren't you?
Yes, okay.
Is your mom in the room?
Yes, she is. If I wanted to persuade her to give me a cell phone, okay, Mom, I have to walk a long way home from school. Plus, there's a lot of cars mysteriously parked on the side of the road that you never know if they're kidnappers. And since I'm going to more things without you guys, then I should definitely have a cell phone to keep in touch. And all the miscommunication that's happening because we don't have a cell phone is really wearing us all thin. So yeah, you can definitely work that persuasive argument, right, with the cell phones. Safety, that's always something parents go for. And what else? Good communication, because your parents are probably a little tired of maybe you having to call from a school phone or borrow someone else's phone. That could definitely wear down people. So safety, ease of communications, keeping up with the times. Maybe you could say, if I don't have a cell phone, I'm not really in with the 21st century. You have to be accepting of change. That will work on some parents, maybe not so much on others. So when you craft a persuasive argument, you might have noticed one of the things I did there was I thought about, what do my parents care about? My parents care about my safety. So I'm going to tweak my cell phone argument. Maybe the reasons I want a cell phone are really because, oh, the cell phones are really cool, and because I want to be able to text all my friends. But the reasons they would want a cell phone would be so that I don't get kidnapped and I have, my phone with me and I can communicate with them. So I am tweaking my argument to really fit my audience. As you're writing your persuasive arguments, you really want to think about your audience all the time. What do my audience want? What do they want to see in my project? How can I emphasize those things that they care about, and I might not spend as much time on things they don't. So we'll talk about that a little more with the Know Your Audience bit. Let's practice writing our own persuasive argument. How could we convince people to buy our imaginary product, the MySky Personal Transport Jetpack? So yeah, I know jetpacks are not super advanced right now, but let's say that this new jetpack has come along, and we need to make sort of an advertisement, almost like an infomercial advertisement, a full-page magazine spread about this jetpack. So what we know is that it can climb up to 2,000 feet. That's pretty high. That's almost as high as the tallest building in the world. It can go up to 90 miles per hour. There's 2 giant parachutes included. Costs $5 million, so pretty expensive. Fuel for the jetpack costs $80 per gallon. And the jetpack averages 10 miles per gallon. So a 90-mile trip would cost you $720. Now, these are all different things that we know about the jetpack, and as we go through the presentation, we're picking up new things about how to make persuasive arguments. You can start thinking, how could you craft this argument to best fit the audience? So how can we craft this persuasive argument for a jetpack that would make people want to buy it? Well, tip number 1 would be to know your audience. I talked a little bit about how I changed my cell phone approach because I knew my mom was the audience. The audience would be the person or people who will read your writing. So in your case, the audience is your fellow students, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Or listen to or read, yes.
Okay. So what are some things that you know your fellow students are going to be looking for in your argument?
Not having to pay $5 million.
Well, cost.
Cost. Yeah, they want the cost to be low, so not having to pay a whole big amount. What else? What are some of the other things they're looking for in the project?
One item could be something they actually need, not just like a special spray that can bounce stuff.
Yeah, it can't just be like a nice decoration for the house, right? It has to actually be something that is useful. So thinking of these different things that they're looking for, cost, need, anything else?
Like how fast you would go.
Speed? Oh, interesting. Okay. Speed. And anything else?
Kathleen? Were you able to hear that?
Yeah, being able to work really well for a long time. So durable, lasting. So these are all things that your audience, your fellow students who are going to be evaluating your project, deciding whether to invest in it to support it, are going to be looking, does it cost a whole lot? Is there a need for it? Is it durable? Will it last? How fast does it go? All these different questions. So as you're crafting your persuasive argument, just like the cell phones and safety, you want to address those things really specifically. And I'm sure you're probably already doing that. To know your audience, find the answers to these questions. And in your case, you probably know all of this, but when you're writing a general persuasive argument, you might want to do a bit of research about who's going to read my persuasive argument. Is it my teacher? Is it my parents? Is it the whole wide world? Where does my audience live? How old are they? Where are they from? Will any of these things influence the way that they think about my topic? So for instance, if you are presenting to a group of seniors and you're trying to get support for a device that is only helping 20-year-olds, then you would see how age might kind of affect that right there. What does my audience already know about my topic? How much explaining will you need to do? What will I need to explain to them? These are all good questions to keep in mind. So how much do the students who are deciding to invest in your project or not, how much do they know about each one of your projects? Is reading your persuasive argument the first time they'll really hear about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of been kept a secret.
Wow, if they've been kept a secret, and that's pretty important. So that means that when you're writing these persuasive arguments, that really provides a challenge as far as, well, this is a student who hasn't really known what I've been working on, so I might have to explain some things. You guys, as the people who are doing the innovations, working on the science, you are probably very familiar with a lot of big terms that your readers and maybe even I wouldn't know. So making sure to remember that and define certain things that your audience won't know. So let's say that the audience is a group of aliens that I'm trying to convince not to destroy Earth. The aliens are obsessed with a sport that is just like soccer. The aliens like sweets, they love warm climates, and they are not soft-hearted. So how could I use this to better craft my don't destroy us approach to the aliens? How could I use what I know?
Great. Louder.
You could tell them that most of the things that they like are on their planets and they destroy
Okay, you can tell them that most of the things that they like on Earth are here, so they shouldn't destroy us because, yeah, definitely, you would use these all as supporting details. Hey, we have giant soccer teams on Earth all over. We have factories that are producing all your favorite sweets. And warm climates, you can find those all over the place. But we would not want to take the soft-hearted approach, which would be, oh, look at us, we're really nice people, you shouldn't destroy us, because that would be really sad. They're not going to go for that because they're not soft-hearted, right? So we just took what we know about the aliens and used that to help us. Speak to your audience's interests, concerns, fears, or dreams. If it's a CEO who has children, likes hiking and camping, and also likes money, and you're trying to convince him not to cut down a big forest in the middle of a park, and you can say, hey, you need to keep this for your children and your grandchildren, since he has children, and besides, this is awesome hiking and camping ground, and we hear you like to hike and camp. So, again, being strategic. Even if you don't know every single person in your audience, it would be a little bit creepy if you were like tracking down the student evaluator to their house and making sure you knew every single detail about their life. That could be taken the wrong way. You can still make predictions about them based on what you do know. So since they're students like you probably know quite a lot. Use what you know about your audience to decide what you need to explain. If you were talking to a group of skateboarders, you might say something like, it's an old board, but good for skating our half pipe. Now, does anyone really know what that means exactly, those terms?
These skateboarders here that know what those words mean. We have one, looks like a couple.
Okay, anyone want to explain it for us?
Half pipe? Yep.
It's
it's like a tunnel, but without but it has an opening in the top, and you just kind of go side to side to side.
Nice, great, exactly. So you know what that means since you're a skateboarder. So a half pipe, as you said, is this kind of like a tunnel, only it doesn't have the top. And then I had to look this up because I was like, oh, what are some skateboarder words? And then it's also used in, I guess, snowboarding as well, sometimes. So you would want to explain this if you were talking to your parents who have never touched a skateboard before. And you want to explain what a half pipe is. So, and you might also say it's a traditional board, or it's a traditional skateboard if you want to be more formal. So let's go back to the jetpack for a moment, this imaginary jetpack that we're trying to sell. And for jetpack experts, you might say something like this. Unlike many other jet propulsion devices currently in circulation, MySky does not focus its marketing, research, and development efforts solely on the extravehicular transport of space exploration personnel, and the propulsion providing gas is not compressed nitrogen or hydrogen peroxide, but a new, more efficient combination formula released in November's issue of Jetpack magazine that allows for more rapid gains in altitude. So, you can understand that if I maybe slowed down and you looked really hard at certain words. But is this something that would make compelling advertisement, or that most people would understand if you just spoke it to them really fast or handed it to them? It would probably look a little daunting. So what you might do, instead of having this really long, dense thing with a lot of words that regular people might not understand, is you would rewrite it. You would explain words or ideas your audience won't understand. So how could I rewrite this to make it better?
You want to get a start?
I'm sorry?
You're asking them how they would rewrite.
Yes, how would you rewrite this? So it's saying, unlike a lot of other jetpacks currently on the market, MySky doesn't just market to space exploration personnel, astronauts. So see how I'm like taking the sentences and simplifying it down to something more understandable. What about this sentence? And the propulsion providing gas is not compressed nitrogen or hydrogen peroxide, but a new, more efficient combination, formula released in Jetpack magazine, that allows for more rapid gains in altitude. How would you reduce that to like one short sentence?
You want to tackle that one? Go ahead, Brian.
I didn't quite hear all of what you said. We have discovered new formula, and then I kind of lost the rest.
Yeah, I think that he's basically simplifying it simply by saying we've made it easier. New formula, it's easier now than it ever was.
Great, yeah, we're changing the game with this formula that lets you go up fast, because it's rapid gains in altitude. So basically you can really simplify that down. You said, exactly as you said, we discovered this new formula. So you can really turn this into something very understandable, very concise, and I'm going to type up this sort of new version here. Okay, here we go. See here. So, MySky is different from other jetpacks. So different from other jetpacks, jet propulsion devices currently on the market. Let's remember that original sentence. This is pretty slow. Okay, we build jetpacks for everyone, not just astronauts. And we've changed the game with our revolutionary new formula, which lets you, kind of going off the edge here. It's funny, I'm not even typing, but it's like lagging so much that it's, wow. It is really slow. I know, it's crazy, I was like typing, and now it's going off the side. Well, basically that's, okay. Yeah, that is hilarious. Alright, and now it's stopped. Well, MySky is different from other jetpacks. We make jetpacks for everyone, not just astronauts, and we changed the game with our revolutionary new formula, which lets you get up in the sky faster. Something like that. Now that's way more understandable, that's clearer, that's more concise. However, if you were writing to an audience of jetpack experts, it would be like, hey, you give us some more details. So depending on your audience, you need to know which approach to take. So how are we going to convince people to buy the My Sky jetpack? Well, we know that there's all this information, that we have these are the different facts. And then this is our audience. They often sit through a lot of traffic on the commute, so we've done some of this traffic research. They're 21 to 35 years old and an audience of Cool Transportation magazine. That's where this ad will be placed, is Cool Transportation magazine. They're frugal, so generally not spending too much money, or don't like to spend too much money, and don't necessarily have science backgrounds. So we could use all this information about our audience to our benefit. So take one of these things, how might it help us?
Somebody? Lisa, go ahead.
Well, if they often sit through a lot of traffic, you could tell them that there isn't much traffic in the sky, so it would be faster.
There's no traffic in the sky. Very nice. I think we just got our new slogan, right? There's no traffic in the sky. You can just jump over the big line of cars, stretch out over the highway, and go 90 miles per hour, which is faster than you'd be allowed to on the highway, and speed out to your destination. Now, how might one of these things kind of hurt our argument or provide a challenge?
Good.
Since they generally don't spend a lot of money, they wouldn't be willing to spend $5 million on one jetpack.
Exactly. Since they're a frugal bunch, they don't generally spend a whole lot of money, then this $5 million jetpack would seem like a really expensive purchase. So how do we deal with both the challenges and the benefits of working with this audience? That's something that we're going to have to do with a really well-crafted persuasive argument. So again, in the facts that we have some really compelling ones that would make the audience say, I'm not going to buy this jetpack. Not only does it cost $5 million, I'm going to have to keep paying for this really expensive fuel, which is going to really add up every trip I take. But how might we use some of this stuff over here? Wow, the entire slide. Okay. We can use some of this stuff like you can climb up to 2,000 feet, go up to 90 miles per hour, and 2 giant parachutes are included. Another thing that I didn't mention in the audience background is that if they're reading something like Cool Transportation magazine, they're probably automatically interested in cool transportation. So maybe mentioning the cool factor and how revolutionary it is, etc. might help. So I'm going to open up a Word document and we're going to work on this My Sky advertisement together. And we're going to try to create the best persuasive argument in this advertisement we possibly can. So, we have the My Sky jetpack. Let's see, the My Sky jetpack. It's not the limit, it's My Sky. Yeah, that was a bit. Okay, so My Sky is, when you're making your persuasive argument, you can often start with sort of a main point and then an overview of some of the details you're going to expand on later. So, the My Sky jetpack is, what are 3 words that describe it, that make it really appealing?
3 words?
Fast.
Fast, great. What else? What was that?
Amazing.
Amazing, okay. So one thing to remember is that, so what these things are, fast, amazing, we're going to be expanding on them later. So we're going to have to support the fast and we're going to give our data. For amazing, we'll also have to support that, so make sure to give words that we can back up with our facts. Okay, it's fast, it's amazing. What is the third one?
Easy.
Easy? All right, so easy to use. Great. So My Sky is fast, amazing, and easy to use. So now we're going to add more about each one of these. And the main point, even though we're not putting it at the top like you would with a paper, we're not putting our thesis statement right at the top and saying you should buy the My Sky jetpack, because this is essentially the same approach we're taking. We have like our 3 details that we're supporting with more details or reasons. So fast. We could use, again, that amazing slogan, there's no traffic in the sky. My sky is fast. There's no traffic in the sky, and our 90 miles per our jetpack lets you get to fly high above the above the what?
Traffic.
Above the traffic. Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, the traffic jam. Cool. So we have that it goes 90 miles per hour and that it can get you out of traffic. So we're using what we know about our audience having to be stuck in traffic a lot, and we're using that to our advantage. Amazing. What are some things that help support our claim that My Sky is amazing? What do you think makes this jetpack amazing?
It's durable.
It's, sorry?
Durable.
It's adorable?
Durable.
Oh, durable. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, that was the first time I heard a jetpack being called adorable. I thought, oh, wait, durable. Yes, definitely. The jetpack is durable, so it can weather a lot. All right, sure. What are some other things that make it amazing? So I can go back to what we know. So we know we can climb up to 2,000 feet, 90 miles per hour, 2 giant parachutes, $5 million. So think of how we might use some of these facts to our advantage. Amazing, it's durable.
It gives the ability of people to
I'm sorry?
it gives the ability to people to go most places.
Okay, it gives you the ability to go places you can. And My Sky is easy to use. What would help support our easy to use claim?
Easy to use. Last. The new fuel.
Sorry?
New fuel.
New fuel? Okay. Our revolutionary new fuel means that you don't have to worry about explosions or accidents. So maybe it's instead of like a really hot fuel, my dad suggested that it could somehow be like a cold fuel. I don't know exactly how that would work, but all right, let's say that it means that you don't have to worry about explosions or accidents. It's not so explosive. And it lets you get where you want to faster. All right, now what is another thing? We've got the 90 miles per hour, 2,000 feet in the air, cool new fuel. What about the parachutes? How do you think the parachutes could be used, possibly?
Grace.
I'm sorry?
They make it a lot safer.
They make it a lot safer, yeah. So we can definitely include this as another argument. Plus, it's safe because we have the 2 parachutes included. So if one fails, and you have the other one as well. Not that you'd want to imply anything could fail in your beautiful, perfect jetpack, right? But this would be a good argument to add on. Now, again, because we know our audience is more interested probably in the coolness of it than the safety, this wouldn't be one of our top arguments, but it's probably worth throwing in there. So, plus it's safe with 2 giant parachutes included with each jetpack. Okay, so, and then we include the fake website iflyhigh.mysky.com just because I couldn't resist rhyming that many words, and we have our argument. So if you look at this, it's structured pretty much like a argument that you might use for anything, and that's that you have your main point, which is essentially you should buy this My Sky jetpack because it's laying out everything that's great about it. My Sky is fast, amazing, and easy to use. Now, how are we going to support that? Because people aren't going to look at this and say, oh, I trust you automatically. I'm just going to buy this for $5 million and assume that it's fast, amazing, and easy to use. You want more information. So you add details. You support each of these claims, my sky is fast, with more details. There's no traffic in the sky, and our 90-mile-per-hour jetpack lets you fly high above the traffic jam, so we're providing another detail there. My sky is amazing. It gives you the ability to go places you can up to 2,000 feet in the air. My sky is easy to use. Our revolutionary new fuel means that you don't have to worry about explosions or accidents, and it lets you get where you want to faster. Plus, it's safe with 2 giant parachutes included with each jetpack. If you wanted, you could even probably add more to that. You could add more about how cool it makes you look, or how it will make a perfect gift for a loved one this holiday season. Yeah, that would be a very expensive gift, opening up your brand new jetpack, but I'm sure somebody would do it. So you could have all these different arguments you would add on, and they all help support your central point by My Sky Jetpack. So what is your central point with your project?
You want to talk about your own project and the main point you want to bring to your group? Okay, great.
So my product is a water filter, it's a bottle that filters the water. As it filters the water, it flavors it well, so it can be dirty with water and make it very
All right, so your invention sounds really awesome. I think I would definitely be interested in purchasing it for Bill. So you are taking the water filtration system and adding the flavoring component, is that right? Okay, so how are you supporting this? How are you trying to approach your argument? I only caught like one word, sorry.
Let me just, his central idea is that we can take any kind of water, kind of make it not only great tasting, but healthy for you. And he believes that people will want that because they like good tasting water, right? Yep.
Okay, great. So if someone was like, oh well, I don't need flavored water, that's just an add-on, then you could be like, well, maybe people will drink more water when they like the taste of it, and that's healthy. That'll keep people from getting dehydrated, definitely. So you could address that argument with some arguments of your own. Great, so when you think about it, imagine this kind of imaginary opponent standing here. So like when we were